Hello, I'm David Debato, and this is the Sunday live stream edition of the No Delusion Zone. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button because I can use all the support I can get. All us voices of the opposition to the insane fascist government that calls itself the administration here in the United States of America has got to go. So again, I am part of the opposition, the voice of the opposition to MAGA, Trump, and all his insane criminal cabal. So again, hit the like and subscribe button. If you're watching this on my Substack, please become a subscriber. Initially, if you'd like to, become a free subscriber. But then, of course, I would love for you to become a paid subscriber because as here on YouTube, I can use all the support I can get on my Substack. So again, thank you. Hit the like and subscribe, and let's move on. As usual, this is going to be a relatively short video, but I do have a few things to go over, and I'm going to focus pretty much on the insanity of Donald Trump and the fact that the mainstream media in the United States still doesn't focus on that. What I mean is he is so crazy. He is so insane. He is such a dangerous lunatic that the mainstream media, and I don't care who they are or who they are owned by in this corporate media landscape, they need to call him out. They need to stop doing this. Well, we'll give him a fair shake because he is still officially president of the United States. Bullshit. He is a dangerous threat. He is mentally unstable. He is doing things that are blatantly unconstitutional and illegal and very, very dangerous to the national security of the United States. Forget about the economics. I'll get to that in a minute. He's endangering the actual security of the United States and Americans. So the mainstream media needs to call him out on this. When he does things, when he says things like he's going to exterminate, he's going to do away with an entire race of people, an entire culture, when he threatened to exterminate the Iranian people and that they'll never come back again. That's genocide. That's a major war crime. They need to call him out on that. They need to not just go to a press conference and say, Mr. President, what did you mean by that? That you would eliminate the entire Iranian culture and that they will never return again. Bullshit. Tell him it's genocide. Don't even ask him. Just tell him it's genocide. It's a war crime. And this is a disgusting way to portray the United States, period. And just walk out. Why American military leaders, both serving on active duty, currently serving, and retired, didn't call him out on that? Where are the generals and the admirals with guts that would rip off their stars, put them on the table and say, Mr. President, in faith, I cannot serve you any longer. This goes against all my training, my morals, my ethics, and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I resign. Not seeing any of that. None. Zero. That's very disheartening. And I've interviewed several military people in the last several months, and to a person, they all say that they believe that senior military leaders would honor their oath and not carry out illegal orders. I find that hard to believe since they've already carried out illegal orders, starting at least when they allowed or ordered the murder of fishermen. Some of them may have been drug dealers, but unindicted individuals on boats going from South America to the United States. The United States Navy shot them out of the water, blew them out of the water without trial, without an investigation. That's murder. And there were military leaders who were responsible for giving those orders. So again, I take it with a grain of salt when military leaders, both currently serving and retired, say that they're sure that senior military officials, military leaders, would not obey an illegal order. Not so sure about that. Moving along with that same thought, MAGA officials, the former Republican Party officials, elected officials, they're all guilty of conspiracy for enabling this unconstitutional, illegal, immoral president by doing nothing. U.S. Congress has ceased to exist. It doesn't exist. It's a rubber stamp. It's a cult that says that they'll do anything that Trump desires, anything. They debase themselves on an hourly basis. I have a few videos to play, pretty short clips that give an example of this. Where do I want to start with these disgusting individuals? Let me just, here is a disgusting individual that stands out among disgusting individuals. He's Representative Takano, representative, Republican MAGA representative from Texas, when he was asked about Trump's orders and Trump's decision to wage war on Iran and what he thinks about Trump's mental stability. Take a listen to this.
Mr. Secretary, should President Trump fail a mental fitness test?
Wrong one. Here it is.
I believe that Donald Trump is better than sliced bread. I think he's almost the second coming, in my humble opinion. I think he's done a fantastic job. He's got a very difficult job. Pope's got a tough job, got issues in the church. But Donald Trump has a very, very difficult job to do, the toughest job in the world.
Well, there you have it. This piece of crap, to be honest with you, referred to Donald Trump as the second coming of Christ. I mean, there are no words for that. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is this. The GIF, the computer-generated, AI-generated image that Trump himself posted. And instead of criticizing that, of coming out and saying how deplorable that is, how blasphemous that is, you get clowns like this representative from Texas supporting him, calling him the second coming, that he's better than sliced bread. Are these not brainwashed sons of bitches, traitors, just loathsome individuals? Yes, all of the above. But that is the U.S. Congress. So why should we as Americans believe that they're going to do anything to save this country? We shouldn't, because they're not. Moving along, let me see which one. This is I played this briefly before. What this is a hearing that was just held before the Congress, where a Democratic congressperson asks Kennedy Jr., the so-called health Secretary of Health and Human Services, if Donald Trump were adjudicated, were thought to be by a medical professional to be incompetent, mentally incompetent, would JFK Jr. vote to have him, not to have him impeached, vote to enact the 25th Amendment to remove him from office. Here's the Q&A during that congressional hearing.
Mr. Secretary, should President Trump fail a mental fitness test or an evaluation about his mental stability or emotional stability, would you vote to invoke the 25th Amendment?
There hasn't been a president who's more
Mr. Secretary, my question is, would you vote to invoke the 25th Amendment? Mr. Secretary, reclaiming my time. It's my question, Mr. Secretary. Would you invoke the 24th Amendment if he were to fail an assessment of his mental stability or emotional stability?
As I said, President Trump is the most...
Apparently not, Mr. Secretary. Apparently not. Mr. Secretary, we can all see that this president is mentally unstable, emotionally unstable, and is unfit to lead this country. You, as the nation's top health official, have a particular role here. And you are choosing your loyalty to Donald Trump over your loyalty to the Constitution and keeping the faith with the American people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
So there you have it. RFK Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services, questioned by a member of Congress whether, if Donald Trump was adjudicated by a medical professional to be mentally unfit to hold office, if RFK Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services, would vote to invoke the 25th Amendment to have Donald Trump removed from office. And his blabbering response was that he's never seen a president or an individual more stable than Donald Trump. If that's not a bootlicking, ass-kissing cult member, then I don't know what is. And we are really in trouble. If Donald Trump somehow leaves office before the end of his term, we're not out of the woods yet, because guess who takes over? J.D. Vance, the bootlicker, ass-kisser cult member in chief. And behind him, he's got a good, solid 30 to 40% of the American electorate behind him, meaning not supporting him per se specifically, but supporting MAGA, supporting the former Republican Party and all of the illegal, disgusting policies and actions that they've enacted. 30 to 40%. And I'm going to play something here that I've played before, but it gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. This is a poll that was recently taken, not yesterday, but about a week or so ago, maybe a couple of weeks, about the war in Iran. And if the electorate, those Republicans that voted for Trump and still support him, agree or disagree, if they support Trump's actions in Iran or not. Just watch this short clip.
CNN just forced to report this.
Okay, MAGA GOP on the U.S. military action in Iran. Look at this. Nearly 9 in 10, 89% approve of the U.S. military action in Iran. That is the MAGA GOP base. Just 9% disapprove of it. This is tremendously popular among the Republican base.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
All right, that's what she's talking about, baby. And that's what the Republicans, the MAGA supporters, are talking about. Again, this poll was taken 2 or 3 weeks ago. It doesn't matter, because I read reports every single day and polls about MAGA supporters, those who still support Trump very, very strongly. And those figures haven't budged too much. They still strongly support not only Trump, but his actions in the war in Iran. It doesn't matter that it's going to affect their lives, and it already is, in terms of higher prices for everything, not just at the pump with gasoline, with everything, with food, with clothes, with tickets, with houses, with interest rates, you name it. The prices are going up and are going to continue to go up. They don't care about that. Even if you tell them that, even if you put the report in their face and make them read it, they don't care, because they want to own the libs. They're still in that insane feeling, that MAGA feeling about owning the libs and loving Donald Trump as their savior, anointed by God. I'm going to show you now a brief statement by Ann Applebaum in The Atlantic about this issue, about how the prices are going to continue to go up for Americans, and not just now, but in the future, and how most Americans, in fact, all MAGA supporters, just don't get it. Just read this, very brief. The war will affect the American and global economies in ways that most Americans still do not understand. Even if the shooting stops today, the Arab Gulf states will need to spend the next several years rebuilding infrastructure while also rearming. The ripple effects of those rebuilding and rearmament efforts will be felt throughout the American economy. Money from the Gulf has fueled many of the investments in artificial intelligence over the past few years, both through direct investments in startups and through indirect placements in U.S.-based foreign or venture capital funds. Now, the sovereign wealth vehicles of the Gulf will likely need to deploy more capital at home, curtailing investments abroad. That means that the countries, the oil and gas-rich Gulf states that have been fueling our economy, that have been fueling the insane, lopsided, blind Wall Street surge and record trading, is about to burst. The bubble's about to burst on all this insanity, meaning that forget, even if oil prices go up or down, because you can't trust Wall Street. They are not the American street. They don't give a shit. But if you just pay any attention at all to what's going on in the Gulf states that have had their oil refineries and pipelines and desalination plants destroyed, they are now going to have to take the money that they invested in the United States, in our infrastructure, in the things that kept our prices low for years. They're going to stop, because they have to spend it on their own countries to rebuild their own infrastructure and now their own military infrastructure, since America cannot be counted on to defend them. They have no more trust in us. So, as this brief article by Ann Applebaum in The Atlantic states, the price of everything is going to go up in America, and most Americans don't know that. And since many or most MAGA people are functionally illiterate and don't read anything, or if they do, they don't understand it, they don't get it. And they're going to say, oh, what's happening? I thought Trump said the prices are going to go down on everything. He promised the price of groceries were going to go down the day after he was elected. It's more than a year and a half later. Why are the prices still going up? Boo-hoo-hoo. Morons. I'm sorry. I don't like MAGA, as you could probably tell. I just want to move on to another point here. In case you don't know, and those that have watched me and are not MAGA supporters realize that the war in Iran, a self-inflicted wound on America caused by Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, is not a special military operation, as the Kremlin says their war in Ukraine is. It's a full-fledged war. And by the way, contrary to what Donald Trump has said and keeps saying, we haven't won. We've lost the war. In fact, the war is not over. The day after Trump said that the Strait of Hormuz was open again, and Iran echoed that, well, within hours or 24 hours at the most, Iran also announced that the Strait of Hormuz is now closed again. And they are going to continue to monitor it with their military, the IRSG, the Special Guard, Iranian the Revolutionary Guard Corps, and that they're going to continue to charge about $2 million per ship to go through the strait, if they allow it to go through the strait. Any vessel that they feel is in any way aligned with either the United States or Israel will not be allowed through. And if those vessels attempt to go through, they will be attacked. And I guarantee you, Iran still possesses the ability to attack and sink any vessels that try to run the Strait of Hormuz, contrary to what Pistol Pete Hegseth, let me show you Pistol Pete here. Contrary to what this drunken lush head of the Pentagon says, Iran still has thousands, if not tens of thousands of drones, tens of thousands of fast attack boats, and thousands of even ballistic missiles. So, yeah, they can stop any ships they want going through the Strait of Hormuz, even if the United States is foolish enough to try to escort them through. Then, if they do, they, meaning the United States naval vessels, will also become a target. Right now, the United States Navy is staying out of the Persian Gulf and staying a little further out in the Strait of Oman, or the Oman Gulf. It's obviously not the Persian Gulf. It's still within range of the Iranian missiles and drones and so forth, but it's not near the Strait of Hormuz anyway. So we'll see how that develops, but this is not over by a long shot. And the prices here in America and in Europe, by the way, in Europe, they're saying that their airlines, the airlines that are based in Europe, are within 5 or 6 weeks of running out of jet fuel, which means they would be grounded. The airline fleets in Europe could come very close within the next month and a half of being grounded. Obviously, a major catastrophe. The next point I want to make here is a favorite of mine. It's the grand conspiracy, as MAGA is calling it. What's the grand conspiracy? Well, let me just read here a brief article from the New York Times. Last year, Mr. Trump's allies began pushing for what they referred to as a grand conspiracy case that would portray all of the criminal inquiries of Mr. Trump as a unified plot to violate his constitutional rights. The conspiracy, by their telling, began with the investigation into Russia and its potential ties to the 2016 Trump campaign, then extended to the classified documents and the 2020 election indictments. That far-fetched theory would allow the Justice Department to scrutinize in a single case matters that would normally be barred by the 5-year statute of limitations. And in order to pursue this insanity, this no case, Trump now has appointed, what is his name here? Old Joseph DeGenova, a several decade Republican hack and close friend of the Trumps, to pursue this case, to act as point for the Justice Department's lunatic, insane investigation in this grand conspiracy case, or as Trump used to say, Russia, Russia, Russia. A tie to Russia, which has been proved by both Democratic and Republican reports for at least the last decade, since 2016. It has been proven that Russia meddled in the 2016 election. Again, committees and investigations by both Republicans and Democrats have proven that. But in order to try to clear his criminal name, in order to try to salve his wounds and show people that he won the election fair and square without any help by Putin, for the last decade, he has pursued this grand conspiracy case. This is just the latest iteration of that, and Joseph DeGenova is now the latest hack to try to pursue that. And if this goes to a grand jury, which I'm sure it will, it's going to be heard by another MAGA hack, which is Judge Aileen Cannon. Do you remember that name, Aileen Cannon? She was the judge in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case, where Donald Trump secreted thousands and thousands of classified documents, many of them top secret or above, including nuclear secrets, in his bathroom, in his ballroom, in closets. He showed them freely to anybody that visited Mar-a-Lago, on and on and on. And of course, Judge Aileen Cannon basically threw that case out of court. She's a MAGA hack. She's a disgrace. She should be impeached. However, she's probably going to hear the case by DeGenova about this new lunacy, this new grand conspiracy case. We'll see what happens. And lastly, for today, here's another example, in my opinion, of why Democrats have lost the last election, why I'm still not convinced they would win the next election, even if it's held fairly, even if the Republicans don't control the election by counting the votes. Why? Because of insanity like what's going on now in Tennessee. There is a group of progressives, liberals in Tennessee, that are trying to prevent a bill up before the Tennessee legislature and on, I think, the governor's desk, to require that everyone taking an exam to get a driver's license in Tennessee be required to take the exam in English. They don't want that. I guess they believe it should be taken in any language, including Chinese, Sanskrit, Arabic, Swahili, whatever. That's insane. I've never agreed with that. This is America. We speak English. Why this group and all or many progressive Democrats, liberals, decide that this is wrong, that Americans or people who wish to drive legally on our roadways should not be required to take their driver's license exam in English, is beyond me. That's crazy. And they wonder why liberals, Democrats in many jurisdictions continue to lose not only elections, but the trust of the average American. Maybe someday they'll get it. I don't know. But anyway, that's it for today. I'm going to wrap it up with that. If you're watching this live, thank you. If you're not, and most people watch the recorded version of this, I get it. Please tell your friends, your family, your coworkers, neighbors, and so forth to subscribe to, first go to, and then subscribe to the No Delusion Zone here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. I need, like I said, all the support I can get. If you're watching this on my Substack, which is protectingtherepublic.com, let me put this up here. There it is, protectingtherepublic.com. Please become a subscriber there as well. I would love for you to become a paid subscriber, but at the very least, become a 30-day free trial subscriber. If you like what you see and read, then of course, become a paid subscriber. Again, protectingtherepublic.com. silicon.com. Until the next time, and I believe I'm going to be doing my next live stream with Jonathan Fink of Silicon Curtain, which we call The Dictators, on Tuesday. I won't be doing it tomorrow. I've got some prior commitments, but Tuesday, which is the 21st, I believe, I'll be back at 10 o'clock Eastern time, 3 p.m. UK time, with a new episode with Jonathan of The Dictators. I hope to see you all there. Until then, please, all of you, take care, stay safe, and stay sane.